Zhao Jing traveled through the wilderness and became the personal disciple of San Xiao. At the imminent arrival of the Fengshen, the Hongmeng Diary System was bound. Write a diary to obtain cultivation and treasures. I originally intended to ascend to the throne and then leave the level to sweep. Unexpectedly, Tong Tian found a copy of the diary, which can be used to check the content of Zhao Jing's diary. From then on, the sealing of gods was completely chaotic. Shuo Jiao closed the mountain gate and refused to be deified. With extraordinary potential and the potential to become a saint, San Xiao has truly become a saint under the full cultivation of Tongtian's intercepting teachings. Duobao has the potential to be canonized. Zhao Gongming has the potential to be canonized. Unconsciously, the entire Jiejiao sect has become a saint for all. Keywords of the novel. To steal a glimpse of my diary and teach everyone to become saints. No pop-ups, sneaking through my diary all day, teaching everyone to become holy. Download the complete TXT collection, sneak a peek at my diary all day, and teach everyone how to become a saint. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Hongmeng Diary System, The Way to Return to the Mortal World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Hongmeng Diary System, The Way to Return to the Mortal World. East China Sea, Jiejiao Island. As a sage dojo, this place is undoubtedly a great holy land amidst the flood and wilderness. Zhao Jing opened his eyes from the haziness and yawned. Master, don't rush, I'm up now. He spoke lazily. One roll of body magic. Wearing a Taoist robe, the whole body is free of dirt and dust, pure and refreshing. I just pushed open the wooden door of my simple wooden house. Watching Zhao Jing walk out of the wooden house, Yun Xiao sighed helplessly. No accidents, you haven't made any progress in cultivation yet. Zhao Jing gave a casual smile. Master, I practiced for half an hour yesterday. Half an hour. A wave of helplessness surged in the sky. It's also a shame that you spoke your mind out loud. When someone cultivates and meditates once, which one is not for 10 days and a half a month? Zhao Jing is doing well. Practicing for half an hour can already be considered an extremely rare thing. His cultivation is too low. No fighting, no fighting. Clouds silently recite in their hearts. If it were not for the three sisters, they would be their own disciples. If it were someone else, they would have already set up a set of pure immortal techniques and taught him how to be a good person. I've never seen such a lazy person before. As for cultivation, that is absolutely impossible to cultivate. I have never seen him practice at all. For him, being able to cultivate for half an hour is already an extremely rare thing. However, it's not entirely his fault. Yun Xiao still remembers when he took Zhao Jing as his disciple 1,000 years ago. He also practiced diligently for a period of time. However, the qualifications are really too poor. Three sisters, three quasi-saints, also provided him with various cultivation resources. However, it took hundreds of years to step onto the immortal path and achieve the position of human immortal fruit. This talent can only be described in 4 words. It's unbearable. I have worked hard for hundreds of years. This disciple seems to have also given up. Clamoring to lie flat. A few hundred years passed in a daze. Until now, he is just a celestial being. Yun Xiao sighed helplessly and took out something from his personal space. This item was obtained by your second and third masters, along with me, to help you obtain it. Although not a top-tier spiritual treasure. But it's also enough to give you the power to protect yourself. The clouds paused for a moment, as if it was difficult to express in a single word. Zhao Jing, don't leave Jiejiao Island during this period. Nowadays, in the world, the qi of calamity is rising, and a great calamity is approaching. You. Be very careful. If there is any danger, do not act recklessly and remember to contact the 3 of us. Your talent is limited, and your cultivation may have reached its limit. As a teacher, I don't expect you to become a saint or an ancestor. Being able to live a peaceful life is also excellent. She said and handed a jade pendant to Zhao Jing's hand. I gave Zhao Jing a deep glance. Clouds are full of worries, no longer lingering. Zhao Jing took the jade pendant. The immortal power was passed into it, and it suddenly became clear. This is an innate spiritual treasure. Mainly focused on defense. Among them, there are 3 forbidden methods of refining and refining. If he were to exert all his strength and trigger the backhand left by San Xiao, perhaps it could block the blink of an eye of the Luo Jingxian. This for him, a little fairy, it is already a rare treasure. However, what made Zhao Jing more concerned was actually what Yun Xiao had just said. Catastrophe is imminent. Yun Xiao is already the top powerhouse in the world today. I have already crossed the immortal path, touched a corner of the sacred path, and achieved the position of quasi-saint. If we unite Xiongxiao and Bixiao, we can unleash the 9-bend Yellow River Formation. Although the wilderness is vast, there are only a few hands that can crack it. The only calamity that can make her so worried about the vigilance is the measurement calamity. At this point, is the Fengshen already about to be activated? Zhao Jing knew it clearly in his heart. He is not a native creature of this vast wilderness. But rather, it has traveled from the modern world to this place. The development of the flood and famine is also very clear. When he crossed over, he was already not far from the Fengshen romance. But also suffering from the lack of golden fingers. In addition, the talent is extremely poor. Simply lie flat. Live leisurely for thousands of years, and finally retire peacefully. Liang Jie is the meat grinder of this wasteland. Even if 10,000 immortals come to the court, with saints sitting on the battlefield, many quasi-saints with combat power will be defeated in the battle of sealing gods and measuring tribulations. There are many people who have been sent to the list of gods for their true spirits. He has so little cultivation that he can't even lift a single wave. Looking at the jade pendant in hand, Zhao Jing felt a wave of helplessness. In the wilderness, strength is paramount. If he were a saint with cultivation, perhaps he could try to rewrite everything. However, not after all. At this moment, a sound suddenly rang out in Zhao Jing's mind. Detected that the volume calamity is about to start, the Hongmeng Diary System is officially activated. Like a thunderbolt exploding in my heart. Surprised, he remained calm for hundreds of years, but also experienced surging waves. System. Originally, I have always had a system. However, the activation conditions have not been met yet. System, what functions do you have? This system will generate a Hongmeng diary. By keeping a diary every day, you will continuously become stronger and obtain various treasures. The system introduction is complete. Zhao Jing felt that he could summon a pen and a diary at any time. What he thinks in his heart can be turned into words on paper. Do you write a diary? I didn't expect my golden fingers to be like this. Zhao Jing thought to himself and casually wrote. I received a lot of information today. For a moment, I didn't know what to write. But with the blessing of a system, it is always a good thing. Fengshen Liang Jie is too dangerous. His 3 masters, 2 of whom fell from the 3 heavens, and the true spirit was sent to the divine list. Previously, without strength, it was impossible to change all of this. I can only reluctantly choose to lie flat. There is a feeling of self-abandonment. Now with strength. He couldn't have allowed that outcome to appear in front of him. After crossing over, he had no relatives, and it was San Xiao who took him in. Teach him practice and protect him. Let him have a foothold in the wilderness with his humble cultivation. Zhao Jing hesitated in his heart. Write casually. Fengshen Liangjie is about to start, I don't know if Daozu has consulted with the 6 saints to discuss how to proceed with the matter of enfeoffment of gods. After crossing over, I have hardly changed my perception of the wilderness if nothing unexpected happens. In the Zixiao Palace, Tong Tian and Jiejiao are still the excluded objects, and Jiejiao will be pushed to the forefront of the storm. Although Master San Xiao has a strong desire to protect me, this matter cannot be avoided. As a member of the Jiejiao sect, I absolutely cannot escape in the martial arts world. Immortals come to the court, seemingly at its peak, but in reality, it is like cooking oil in a blazing fire, occupying the title of a saint's disciple, cutting off the teachings of all immortals. I don't know how many sins have been committed and how many killings have been stirred up in the wilderness. In my opinion, at present, in order for Jiejiao to seek refuge, the only way to delay it is after the Zixiao Palace has held a meeting, and the Heavenly Master has ordered the blockade of Jiejiao and the use of divine objects to suppress Qi Yun. The failure of the interception of teachings seems to be a foregone conclusion under the overall situation. If I can delay it first, I can rely on the system. Perhaps I can seek a self-protection force, and then try to protect the 3 masters. Difficulty. He waved his pen freely. I don't know what to write, so I decided to analyze the current situation in my diary. In this way, it's also easy to make plans for oneself in the future. After a moment, Zhao Jing stopped writing. In my ear, the sound of the system suddenly rang out. The first diary is completed and rewards. The way to return to Earth, the way of returning to the mortal world. The way of mortals can also be sanctified. The host only needs to play the role of a mortal, live in the way of a mortal, and gradually improve their cultivation until they reach the realm of a saint. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Tong Tian found the diary book. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Tong Tian found the diary book. Just playing the role of a mortal and living in a mortal way can improve one's cultivation. Zhao Jing couldn't help but be taken aback. This ability exactly what I want. It's not impossible for him to work hard every day to cultivate. But how can one live a relaxed life every day to improve their strength and enjoy it? Zhao Jing put away his diary and brush. Take a glimpse and see the whole leopard. You can tell the strength of the system from its rewards. A complete path to sanctification. In the wilderness, this is what many people dream of. Moreover, it is still such an easy way to become holy. Can it be said that this is the most precious thing in the entire wilderness? More precious than any holy body or blood essence. And it also directly improved his cultivation talent issue. Originally, his cultivation talent was extremely poor. With this path to return to the mortal world, don't worry about the issue of cultivation anymore. It may take some time for the beginning of the Fengshen Liangjie. In addition, with a complete outbreak, it will take some time to drag down the entire teaching process. During this period, I just need to hide in the barrage and stay at home. Patiently play the role of a mortal and write a diary. As long as you don't actively provoke karma, you should be able to hold on to the end of the Fengshen Liangjie. At that time, my strength may be enough to protect myself, even to protect 3 masters. Zhao Jing was calculating in his heart. With the blessing of the system, even if the fiefdoms and tribulations began, Zhao Jing finally had the capital to establish himself in the current chaos. Zhao Jing thought to himself. I casually brewed myself a cup of tea. You brewed a cup of tea, understood the meaning of returning to the mortal world, and increased your cultivation by 100 years, starting with 100 years of cultivation. Is this okay too? Zhao Jing couldn't help but show a faint smile. Although 100 years is just a blink of an eye for the flood and famine. Those great abilities were not achieved by practicing countless elemental guilds to achieve their current cultivation. But if it were so easy to obtain 100 years. On that day, I obtained 1,000 or 10,000 year cultivation. Compared to others, it is also easy. In this way, his daily life is worth millions of years of cultivation by others. What's the difference in qualifications? Your joy of arriving from the bottom of your heart, understanding the meaning of returning to the mortal world, and increasing your cultivation by 100 years, just as Zhao Jing was trying various ways to obtain cultivation. 33 days away. A young Taoist is moving towards the only palace in this vast and boundless void. This person is none other than the highest and supreme sage of the present era. Now the heaven and earth calamity is rising, and the quantity calamity is about to begin. Master summoned the 6 saints to come and discuss. I'm afraid it's precisely for this matter. Last time we measured the calamity, the 2 tribes of witches and demons were destroyed, and the vast expanse was swept away. I don't know what kind of big war will break out this time. Traveling through the void, feeling anxious. The sage endures countless tribulations without extinction. I'm not worried about what might happen during the interception. I'm afraid those disciples will be dragged into the calamity, which will be troublesome. If I deliver to them today, I hope they will remember. His mind is still focused on teaching. That being said. But it is inevitable that some disciples will cause trouble. After returning, we need to restrain them for a while. Tong Tian couldn't help but think in his heart. Measuring calamity is a big deal. Even a saint cannot avoid it. However, he is still full of confidence. After all, he is the sage of the world today. Even if the flood and famine are destroyed, he, whose divine sense relies on the heavenly way, cannot have any problems. Just those disciples are making him a little worried. Worried in my heart. The footsteps of Tong Tian suddenly stopped. His divine sense moved, and it seemed that a divine object had descended not far away. The next moment, Tong Tian reached out and grabbed a book, which appeared in his hand. What is this? In the eyes of Tong Tian, there was a brilliant radiance. Unexpectedly, I couldn't tell what this thing was. It's not a spiritual treasure, nor is it artificially refined. Like something condensed from laws and the Tao. Thoroughly pondering through the heavens. My pupils twitched suddenly. This he actually sensed the breath of the avenue from it. It's a bit interesting. Tong Tian's eyes narrowed. It is also the bravery of skilled artists. He directly took action and opened the book. The text on the first page appeared before his eyes. Fengshen Liangjie is about to start. Daozu consulted with the 6 saints to discuss how to carry out the matter of enfeoffment of gods if nothing unexpected happens. In the Zixiao Palace, Tong Tian and Jiejiao are the excluded objects, and Jiejiao will be pushed to the forefront of the storm in my opinion. At this time, in order for Jiejiao to seek refuge, the only way to delay it is to have the Zixiao Palace hold a council meeting and issue an order to block Jiejiao and use divine objects. To suppress Qi Yun. The downfall of Jiejiao seems to be a foregone conclusion under the overall situation. Rows of text come into view. Some words cannot be read accurately and are hidden by inexplicable power. But what can be seen clearly? Still let Tong Tian take a deep breath. How did you know that the Taoist ancestor wanted to invite all the saints to the Zixiao Palace to discuss this matter? This is a secret recipe that only the Taoist ancestor and the 6 saints know. Can someone be so foolish as to tell others about this? His face remained unchanged. In my heart, there are rolling waves, surging endlessly. Daozu discussed the matter of enfeoffment of gods during the meeting. What is this sealing the gods for? Also, this book says that I am excluded from teaching. The interception of teaching will be pushed to the forefront of the storm, and even lead to failure. Tong Tian pondered in his heart. I quickly grasped the key point. Intercept teaching. Want to be defeated. He wants to open the second page. However, even with all his might, there was no movement. He is the highest saint in the wilderness. Is it a warning for the main road? Take a deep breath and put away this book. Go to Zixiao Palace and you will know the truth. He is not easily trusted. But there is also no complete disbelief. Traveling to Zixiao Palace reveals whether it is true or false. Thinking about it all, he suddenly quickened his pace. Soon, Zixiao Palace was right in front of me. Tong Tian gathered his own sage aura and walked into the purple sky palace like an ordinary person. There are already 6 people sitting here. Daozu Hongjun, the other 5 saints have already arrived. Master, my disciple is late. Tong Tian slightly bowed and sat down at the sign of Hongjun. Since everyone has already arrived, then I'll be straightforward. Hongjun got straight to the point and went straight to the theme. After the Lich Wars, the 2 tribes were defeated. Nowadays, there is an underworld below, but there is no heavenly court above. There is no one in charge of the stars in the sky. I intend to rebuild the heavenly court, oversee the operation of the stars, and oversee the changes in the human world. I see. Tong Tian breathed a sigh of relief. Why is it such a big deal? Is it actually such a small matter? Preparing for the heavenly court requires a large number of manpower. So today, I'm calling you over to discuss the selection of heavenly court personnel for the ceremony of sealing the gods. Tongtian's face suddenly changed. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Zixiao Palace discusses the sealing of gods, closing the door to seclusion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Zixiao Palace discusses the sealing of gods, closing the door to seclusion. The pupils in the sky trembled. He suddenly remembered the words from the book he had discovered before. Daozu consulted with the 6 saints to discuss how to carry out the matter of enfeoffment of gods at this moment. Isn't it exactly the record in the book? Just find the righteous god for the heavenly court. Why did he attract the exclusion and criticism of other saints? The sky is incomprehensible. Instantly stabilizing my mind, I calmly continued to observe the current situation. There are a total of 365 righteous deities in the heavenly court. These will be allocated by the children of your respective sections. You can discuss the specific details for yourself. Hongjun waved his hand. Let the saints consult. Yuanshi Tianzuan was the first to speak. Under my seat, there are all the true immortals of merit. The position of the heavenly emperor should not be compromised. He spoke up. We must seek the throne of the heavenly emperor for our own disciples. Unexpectedly. Not yet waiting for the other saints to speak. Hongjun said, I have plans for the selection of the heavenly emperor. My child Haotian, the gatekeeper of Zixiao Palace, has been following me for countless years. Having gone through 129,600 tribulations, he should have achieved great success and can sit on the throne of the heavenly emperor. The other boys sat at Yao Qi, advancing and retreating with Haotian. Other locations, you can discuss further. He spoke these words. Yuanshi Tianzuan hesitated for a moment. The throne of the heavenly emperor is gone. However, there are also 4 imperial officials and 5 elders, all of whom have extraordinary positions and personalities. He glanced at Tong Tian beside him. But I found the heavenly old god present, with a nonchalant appearance. It doesn't seem to get involved far away. What does this mean? Yuanshi Tianzuan couldn't help but frown. Tong Tian has always had a strong and resolute personality, and he also takes great care of his disciples. Now that the throne is close in front of him, there is no reason for him to not argue. Little did they know. At this moment, Tong Tian had already some faith in the content of the strange book he had found before. He is still pondering. What are the reasons for being excluded and criticized? Nature cannot rashly step forward. Just watching other saints perform. And he remained so silent. On the contrary, it surprised Yuanshi Tianzuan a bit. For a moment, I was worried that Tong Tian might have some ulterior motives, but I didn't take the initiative to mention anything else. Hongjun, the first one, had a hint of doubt in his eyes. What did these people notice? Surprisingly, they didn't even argue for a moment. He originally intended to set a trap for these people while they were competing. Now it seems that there have been some unexpected changes. Think of it here. Hongjun didn't hide it anymore. But just take out a gold list directly. This item is called the Fengshen Bang. It is recorded that there are 365 deities in the heavenly court. Your disciples only need to immerse their true spirit in it to obtain the throne and go to the heavenly court to serve. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked. Is true spirit devoted to the God sealing list? How could this be possible? In this way, the true spirit is definitely constrained by this golden list. Not to mention the inconvenience of practicing, there is still no freedom to speak of. Their disciples, painstakingly teaching, have gone through countless years of cultivation to this step today. Is it just to be a puppet for people? For a moment, the saints present had different thoughts. However, Hongjun's next sentence made them even more shocked. The matter of sealing the gods is imperative. You can discuss on your own and select your subordinates. You must fill in this list of deities. This is forcing them to leave. The heavenly master of morality chuckled lightly and said, "There is only one person under my sect. I really can't bear my disciple to leave me. I am willing to send out an incarnation to replace my disciple in taking the tribulation." He said so, but the others present had nothing to say. What else can we do if we send our own avatars instead? The sage Nui immediately spoke up. There are no disciples in this sect, only some attendants. I'm afraid I won't be able to participate in this matter. She doesn't even have her own disciples, so it's naturally irrelevant. The two saints, Jiejiao and Zhuan, on the side suddenly looked a bit dim. Sigh. Since the great war between Emperor Daozu and Emperor Luo, I hope that the earth will be cut off and talent will wither. It's difficult to find even those who have good luck. The two of us finally recruited a few disciples with dull qualifications, with the intention of revitalizing the West. If all these disciples are gone, what hope does the entire West have? Speaking. Zhuan sighed with disappointment, leaving behind 2 drops of clear tears. The gaze of the crowd couldn't help but turn to Yuan Shi Tianzun, who had just opened his mouth to offer his arms. The face of Yuan Shi Tianzun stiffened. Jiejiao is known as 10,000 immortals coming to the court, and there are not only countless disciples. Just teaching one course is enough, isn't it? He spoke coldly. Surprisingly, he left the matter to Tong Tian. The other saints. At the same time, my eyes lit up. They are all unwilling to invest their own followers in the list of gods. After all, after being thrown into the list of gods, the true spirit was shackled, and life and death were completely controlled by the person who manipulated the list of gods. This is not a deity, it's a prison. If the interception can withstand it, then it is naturally excellent. What my second brother said is reasonable. Yuanshi senior brother, you have great ideas. There are many disciples of Jiejiao, claiming to be 10,000 immortals coming to the court. This opportunity is like tailoring it for Zhijiao. All the saints responded in unison. Is this what the strange book says, being excluded by the saints? I see. Perhaps I am mentally prepared. Tong Tian surprisingly doesn't have much anger. He just sneered and scanned the saints in a circle. Your disciples are disciples. This seat, isn't it? You cherish your disciples and do not want them to be bound by the divine throne. Should our disciples suffer such injustice? Tong Tian suddenly remembered the method mentioned in the book. It seems feasible. He stood up calmly. He bowed to Hongjun, who was on his head. I'm leaving, disciple. He said 4 words lightly. Let everyone present be amazed. What kind of thing? Are you leaving now? Swinging the sky-wide sleeve robe. I left Zixiao Palace the next moment. This time, he didn't hesitate at all. The sage's ability was unleashed and he instantly moved to Jiejiao Island. I only heard a voice spread throughout the entire wilderness. Even 33 days away, one can still hear clearly. This imperial decree requires all intercepted disciples to return to Jiejiao Island. Starting today. Intercept all disciples of the sect and remain secluded in Jiejiao Island. Without the imperial decree of this seat, one must not leave the island. As soon as one word is spoken, the whole world is amazed. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Breakthrough. Sanxiao's surprise. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Breakthrough. Sanxiao's surprise. Master Tong Tian announces the closure of the sect. This news. Suddenly sweeping across the entire wilderness. You should know. At this time, Jiejiao can be said to be the largest religion in the wilderness. It is definitely not an exaggeration to say that all immortals come to court. Among them, there are strong ones standing tall, enough to shake the entire landscape of the wilderness. Even more so, there is the head of the Tong Tian sect, who is a saint, sitting there. No difference in popularity. Even the teachings of the same sage sect cannot compete with them in terms of sect strength. Such a magnificent force. Master Tong Tian, why announce the closure of the teaching? The entire wilderness. I don't know how many cultivators there are. They were all a bit anxious and uneasy because of this news. As this news spreads more and more widely. Moreover, there were countless Taoist monks outside rushing towards the direction of Jiejiao Island. For a moment it was bustling and bustling. It is truly the scene of countless immortals coming to court. I was most shocked by this news. Still the strong ones who are already in the process of teaching. On Jiejiao Island, there is a special space cave that can be opened up with great potential. San Xiao is discussing something together. Hear the message from the heavens. The three women looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Master, he actually declared everyone closed. Is the entire interception completely blocked? As a quasi-saint who has been trained by myself and a disciple of the heavenly mind. The three women are undoubtedly the core of teaching. Perhaps. It's related to the impending catastrophe. If it weren't for the measurement of tribulation, I wouldn't have thought of anything else that could make the master make the decision to shut down all the teachers. Is it possible that this measure of calamity should be attributed to me, Jiejiao? Although the quantity of tribulations is strong, there is a master stationed at the teaching site. Why be afraid of it? The three of them couldn't help but discuss. This news is really shocking. They certainly understand. A natural temperament, determined to forge ahead. Not a cowardly person. Even if there are countless difficulties and dangers ahead, it's just a sword to overcome them. What exactly is it? Surprisingly, he chose to shut down the entire school. The three women are puzzled. Just listen to the master's arrangement. Yun Xiao quickly let go without too much hesitation. However, there are still some concerns about Zhao Jing. That guy. His cultivation is too low. Although we have left him a backup, if we encounter a truly strong person or if we are held back, he may still have to die in the end. Bixiao spoke anxiously. They are all quasi-saints. Despite the vastness of the wilderness, what are the fears of saints? The only thing I can't rest assured of is this disciple. Sigh, we need to find a way to make him practice more diligently. Even if it's just one step, it's still much better than now. Xiong Xiao spoke, but her face couldn't help but show a displeasure. Zhao Jing's qualifications are really poor. Unfortunately, he is currently stuck in an extremely important stage. Heavenly Immortal Peak, half-step True Immortal. The called True Immortal. Be open-minded and seek truth from falsehood. This is a change in mindset. No matter how much resources are invested. He can't cross this hurdle himself, he just can't break through. This half-step can only be crossed by himself. He needs to find his own immortal path in order to break through the realm of true immortality. If it's really not possible, we can only seek guidance from our master. If the master can speak up and give guidance, his breakthrough must be a natural outcome. Zhixiao is still figuring out a way. The power of a sage has the power to transform decay into magic. Helping Zhao Jing break through is just an easy task. The three of them were still struggling. Little did they know. At this moment, Zhao Jing had a joyful expression on his face, feeling the energy of heaven and earth. Finally, we're going to break through. Zhao Jing was naturally filled with joy. Because he's about to break through. The three masters have said so. In the realm of true immortality, to seek truth from falsehood, one must find their own immortal path. Originally, my way is not immortal, but this ordinary way. Go for the fake and seek the truth to return to the mortal world. He realized in his heart that the momentum around him naturally rose. In the novel, there are many other travelers who become saints and ancestors when they enter the world of the wilderness. He was trapped for hundreds of years for the realm of true immortality. That being said, Zhao Jing was not bored, nor would he give up on himself. His mentality is excellent now. Just like before crossing over, just like an ordinary mortal. Any improvement is enough to make him happy and satisfied. You feel joy from the bottom of your heart, understand the meaning of returning to the mortal world, and break through the realm of true immortality through cultivation. Zhao Jingchang breathed a sigh of relief. The momentum rising up and down all over the body has reached its peak at this moment. Breakthrough. Give it a go. Zhao Jing's eyes burst with a gleam of light. This obstacle that has been struggling for hundreds of years has finally been broken through by him. In an instant. Thunder roared in waves, and thunder exploded from the sky. The calamity of true immortality. Lei Jie has emerged. He was just about to take action to deal with the robbery. Three beautiful shadows suddenly appeared in front of Zhao Jing. It's not anyone else, it's officially San Xiao. You actually broke through. Zhixiao spoke with joy. Has this disciple finally enlightened? She waved casually while chatting and laughing. The heavenly calamity covering Zhao Jing's head suddenly shattered. Smoke and clouds dissipate, returning to heaven and earth. A small calamity of immortality. For the Quasi saint, it's just between waving his hand. Zhao Jing, who had just broken through the true immortal, couldn't help but be shocked by his strength. The more you understand, the more you can understand why these great powers are so confident. Because it is strong enough. In an instant, one can shatter the world, recreate space, open up the five elements, and stabilize the water, fire, and wind. With such strength, how could one not be confident? However, this confidence has also harmed too many people. Master Xie, take action. Zhao Jing stood up and bowed. He has an open mind. I will also reach this step myself. Even beyond all of this. Bai Xiao waved his hand without hesitation and said, what else would you say? Thank you. By the way, Master just ordered that all members be shut down. Although you are not someone who can go down the mountain. But I still remind you to stay at ease on your mountain these days and not walk outside. Zhao Jing couldn't help but be taken aback. Announce full closure throughout the day. He was approaching a breakthrough before and seemed to have entered a state of enlightenment. Completely unaware of the order from the heavens, I was unaware of the news. Now I have learned. I couldn't help but stir up waves in my heart. Why did he declare everyone closed? In Zhao Jing's impression. Fengshen Liang Jie, there should be no such thing as this. However, he soon stopped thinking about the reason. After all, it is impossible for oneself to have a comprehensive understanding. In the general direction, it's good enough. Once the sealing of the gods begins. If I want to avoid it, I absolutely cannot. At first, Jiejiao did not delve too deeply into the divine realm. It's just Shen Gongbao's sentence, Dao friend, please stay behind, I don't know how many people were harmed. Finally, I gradually dragged the interception into the water. I understand. Upon hearing his answer, Bixiao nodded and said, well, anyway, you have the temperament to lie down and never sit down. After speaking, she was still amazed. I didn't expect you to break through on your own. I thought I was really asking my master to preach for you. Hear her words. Zhao Jing suddenly couldn't help but cry and laugh. Although his talent is a bit lacking. However, it's not advisable to let the sage help to break through the realm of true immortality. Once you break through, it's good. After becoming a true immortal, everything will be smooth sailing. I'll go and get some pills for you then. I reckon you can still challenge the golden immortal realm. Her words warmed Zhao Jing's heart. These three masters are indeed excellent to him. Unfortunately, the Fengshen is already coming. I must quickly acquire sage-level strength. Time is running out. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Crazy Brainstorming of Hongjun and Tong Tian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Crazy Brainstorming of Hongjun and Tong Tian. 33 days away. Hongjun, who was honored as the founder of Taoism, penetrated the Purple Sky Palace with his gaze and gazed at the desolate golden Ao island. In his hand, a damaged jade butterfly was emitting a Taoist charm. It is a rare treasure, the creation of a jade plate. Looking at Ao island, Hongjun couldn't help but show a hint of confusion and surprise. Did he find something? Hongjun pondered. The actions of Tong Tian. It's really beyond his expectations. He was targeted by the saints during a meeting in the Zixiao Palace. With Tong Tian's strong and resolute temperament, even if he had his own seat, he would at least have a big argument with Yuan Shi. However, he appeared too indifferent. Although my emotions are still a bit excited. But it didn't go out of line. It seems that he seems to have known for a long time that such a thing would happen. Impossible. Hongjun shook his head. It is impossible for Tong Tian to know his arrangements in advance. Fengshen Liangjie. This is the catastrophe of heaven and earth. Although as a saint, he can transcend all things, but it is absolutely impossible for him to perceive everything in advance. The aura of heaven and earth calamity permeates. With his cultivation, it is definitely not a problem to know that there is an impending calamity. And this is obviously already the limit. Under the spread of calamity, even the deduction and calculation ability of saints will still be blocked. In addition to his ability to integrate with the Tao, coupled with the creation of jade plates, he is able to plan ahead. There can never be a second person who knows all of this. Can it be said that after dividing the family, he still retains a brotherly bond? Don't want to completely fall out with Laozi and Yuan Shi. That's why I chose to shut down. The more Hongjun thought about it, the more likely he felt it was. After the separation of Sanxiao, there was almost no communication between them. However, Tong Tian is a person who values emotions and righteousness. It is normal for him to have a relationship with these two former brothers and not want to completely fall out. I actually missed this point. Hongjun sighed. The separation of the three pure ones began with the struggle between the Tao of Tong Tian and Yuan Shi. It is normal for brothers to turn against each other in such debates. Unexpectedly, he still has such maternal kindness. Hongjun was helpless. However, in this way, if we can once again stir up the Tao dispute between Tong Tian and Yuan Shi, let him fully recognize reality and understand that Sanxiao cannot reconcile. There will inevitably be a war between intercepting and elucidating. Even more intense. He showed a faint smile. Don't panic. Everything is still under control. He could never have thought of it. To his surprise, Tong Tian saw Zhao Jing's diary. I have long been aware of the fact that the Zixiao Palace is a deity. At this time, the sky is open. I am in my own Bio Palace. In front of me. It is precisely a diary with profound Taoist charm. This trip to Zixiao Palace was all anticipated by this strange book. What exactly is the origin of this book? I have flipped through this strange book countless times. However, we can only turn to the first page. You can see some incomplete information, which guides the matter of sealing the gods in the Purple Sky Palace. The second page, however, cannot be opened no matter what. Even if he is the pinnacle of this wilderness, using all means, it is in vain. Tong Tian looked at the strange book in front of him. Unable to help but fall into contemplation. If it weren't for this extraordinary book, it would have guided me on the matter of Zixiao Palace and given me an early expectation. Today. I'm afraid I can't bear it anymore, so I confronted the saints directly. At that time, I'm afraid my interception will become a target of public criticism. The situation will be even more precarious than it is now. If the apostasy is targeted by the saints, even he couldn't turn the tide and achieve victory. Countless years of hard work will be destroyed in an instant. In this way of thinking, this strange book actually saved me from having to intercept once. Nowadays, staying in seclusion is indeed the best choice. Standing with your hands down from the sky. Thinking in my heart. I couldn't help but feel a little fortunate. Unfortunately, I can't open the second page. Perhaps the timing hasn't arrived yet. He put away the strange book in front of him and had a myriad of thoughts. In the end, I let out a sigh of disappointment. Since the separation of the three families, he knew that Sanxiao could no longer return to his former form. However, today at the Purple Sky Palace, I was targeted like my former second brother. He still feels a bit sad. Fortunately, I still have a screenshot. What about the outbreak of the quantitative calamity? With the power of my sage, I have endured countless tribulations without falling. We must protect and educate thoroughly. He couldn't help but make up his mind. Just the next step, there is still no decision on what to do so far. Next time, if you can open the second page of this strange book, perhaps you can get the answer. He guessed to himself. A bold conjecture gradually emerged in Tong Tian's heart. The main road is 50, and the sky is 40.9. Escape one of them. This strange book can clearly record even the vastness of heaven and earth, and the thoughts of the Taoist ancestors. Could it be that one of them escaped? This idea has just emerged. I was startled all day long. This conjecture is too bold. He couldn't help but think in this direction. When the sky is full of crazy brain nourishment. The protagonist of the diary, Zhao Jing, was also somewhat helpless at this moment. In front of him, there is a pile of various types of pills on display. Zhijiao is introducing him one by one. This is for increasing cultivation. After taking it, you can increase your cultivation by 10,000 years. Be sure to eat more. This is to help you understand the Tao and make it easier for you to enter the state of enlightenment. You also need to eat more of it. And this can help you enhance your body. Although you don't trim your body, eating more is beneficial. This. Forget it, anyway, you should eat more, they are all good things. Various bottles and jars. There are dozens of things in front of Zhao Jing. And every kind. It's all in the thousands. This caught Zhao Jing off guard. I'm talking to you, don't be distracted. I know you don't like cultivation, but eating more doesn't harm you, do you know? You have now gone to fake and seek truth, and found your own immortal path. Next, breaking through to Xian is just a matter of accumulating magical power, which can be easily achieved. If these are not enough, I'll go get you some more. She has a wealthy and imposing appearance. Zhao Jing looked dumbfounded and burst into laughter. So much, even a pig can become an immortal. Yes, I understand. Zhao Jing can only put away all the pills. He has a systematic matter, but he still cannot tell San Xiao. We can only put these things away. Bixiao saw that he finally knew he was making progress, and also showed a hint of a smile. The master and disciple chatted a few words. She just turned around and left. Zhao Jing casually took out a pill and threw it into his mouth to chew. It's a bit sweet. Zhao Jing tasted the taste of the pill. Returning to his own room, Zhao Jing was ready to sleep. Who made the entertainment activities in the wilderness so scarce? You don't need to practice on your own. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Pretending to be coerced in front of Tong Tian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Pretending to be coerced in front of Tong Tian. You slept for a while, understood the meaning of returning to the mortal world, and your cultivation increased by 1,000 years, wake up from a nap. The prompt sound appeared in Zhao Jing's mind. Sleeping can increase one's cultivation by 1,000 years. Isn't this more comfortable than refining drugs? Zhao Jing was satisfied. The life in the wilderness is extremely monotonous and boring. For most cultivators, besides cultivation, it is also cultivation. I don't want to have so many entertainment activities like in later generations. This is also normal. After all, the mainstream of this world is this group of immortals. A solitary practice can take thousands or even thousands of years. It can be said that it is almost impossible to expect these immortals to create any form of entertainment. For so many years. He has also become accustomed to this monotonous and boring life. Today's Zhao Jing. As usual, he picked up his fishing rod. On my own mountain, there happens to be a small pond. Although it's not big. Over the years, he has also raised some fish and goes fishing whenever he has free time. Sitting by the pond, Zhao Jing sprinkled the bait and threw the rod casually. As a serious immortal. If he wants, he can fish out this small pond in a moment. However, that's not necessary. Zhao Jing, like a mortal, did not use any magic and waited for the fish to take the bait. Time passes by. He didn't even notice. Behind him, at some point, an additional young Taoist appeared. This young Taoist stared at Zhao Jing's fishing figure with great interest. True immortal. It's natural, returning to simplicity. He has thoroughly cultivated the true immortality. Jiejiao, how could there be such an interesting person? The young Taoist looked at Zhao Jing. This person is not someone else. It's Tong Tian. He also accidentally discovered that Zhao Jing was fishing here like a mortal. Curious in my heart, so I came to take a look. Pinch it casually. Is it the disciple who was recruited by San Xiao? I often hear them say that their apprentices' qualifications are poor, and now it seems that they are not very poor either. Tong Tian leaned against the nearby tree and thought. As a sage of the heavenly way, he naturally doesn't care about any cultivation qualifications. On the contrary, it is more about the focus. Even in the eyes of Zhao Jing, there was a hint of surprise. My true meaning is naturally formed. Although in the realm of true immortality, seeking truth without falsehood, how many cultivators in the world can completely eliminate their own falsehood? On the contrary, it's this kid. Unexpectedly, all of them have faded away and returned to simplicity. It's not easy. Tongtian's heart was filled with wonder. The realm of true immortality is not worth mentioning in his eyes. Just. The artistic conception surrounding Zhao Jing piqued his interest. Zhao Jing at this time. He naturally had no idea about all of this. The sage is on his side, and if he wants not to be discovered, he will never be able to discover it. Not to mention, he constantly receives prompts. You are fishing and have understood the meaning of returning to the mortal world. Your cultivation has increased by 100 years, and your cultivation is stacking up. After completing fishing, settle together. Just as he was immersed. Suddenly, I noticed a person sitting next to me. Zhao Jing turned his head to look over. This is a young Taoist. The cultivation level may not be accurate, but it should not be particularly high. Compared to the oppressive power of San Xiao, it is somewhat insignificant. I accidentally passed by and disturbed my fellow Taoist. The young Taoist smiled at him. Zhao Jing waved his hand and said, "It's okay, the visitors are guests." The young Taoist smiled and said, "My Taoist friend is fishing here without any mana or hooks, but what is the meaning behind it?" He could tell at a glance. When Zhao Jing was fishing, he did not use a fishing hook. Deep meaning. Zhao Jing smiled. There is no profound meaning. He has been fishing for hundreds of years. Using a fishing hook is not challenging. That being said, Zhao Jing gave a mysterious smile. Fishing, those who wish will take the bait. Those who wish will take the bait. Upon hearing this sentence, Tong Tian's eyes narrowed on the side. San Xiao is the disciple. Interesting. No wonder it made San Xiao interested and accept him as a disciple. At this moment, he suddenly saw Zhao Jing in front of him. His momentum suddenly rose step by step. In the early stage of true immortality. The middle stage of true immortality. True immortal late stage. In just an instant, he crossed from the early stage of true immortality to the later stage of true immortality. This an epiphany. Tong Tian suddenly realized. Zhao Jing, surprisingly, with just one sentence, he suddenly realized that his cultivation had increased by a certain amount. At this moment, Zhao Jing is the most surprised one. You pretended to be smooth and effortless once, deeply comprehending the way to return to the mortal world, and increasing your cultivation by 10,000 years, your fishing has ended this time, your understanding of the meaning of returning to earth, and your cultivation has increased by 3,600 years, because he said a simple sentence. He unexpectedly increased his cultivation by 13,600 years in an instant. No wonder you can come directly to the later stage of the true immortal system. Isn't this my way to return to the mortal realm? How can you pretend to be a force and increase so much cultivation? Zhao Jing asked the system in confusion. If you pretend to be forced, you can increase your cultivation. Why return to the mortal world? It would be great if you could just follow the path of pretending to be forced. Pretending to be forced is also a part of ordinary life. If the host takes special actions and has a special understanding of the path to return to earth, it will trigger a large amount of reward special actions. I was just putting on a show in front of this person. Can this also be considered a special action? Zhao Jing always felt that the explanation of this system was a bit far-fetched. Who makes it their own system? I admit it. The sky beside him. Looking at Zhao Jing's gaze, he became even more curious. He was just on a whim, cruising around Jiejiao Island. I didn't expect to meet such an interesting person. Those who wish to take the bait. This statement, upon careful consideration, carries a lot of profound meaning. Dare to be a Taoist friend. Tong Tian waited until Zhao Jing's breath stabilized and asked a question. My name is Zhao Jing, I don't have a Taoist name. There's not even a track sign. He is really a person who can do as he pleases. I'm a poor person. Someone who knows all the ways. Zhao Jing nodded. Tong Dao Ren. I haven't heard of this name before. This is quite normal. Truly teaching 10,000 immortals, not everyone can leave a name. This ordinary little monk. In the realm of Fengshen Liangjia, it is nothing more than cannon fodder. Looking at his appearance from the sky. Instead, it feels a bit fun. Because it feels interesting, I hide my identity and make contact with my own disciple. Among the saints, only he can do such a thing. Zhao Jing put away his fishing rod. Arched his hand towards the sky. Taoist friend, I'm leaving now. At this point, it's time for dinner. Unconsciously, he spent the whole day fishing. His words. Let Tong Tian be stunned involuntarily. They are already true immortals, and surprisingly, they have not yet opened up the valley. It's also a strange thing. Since that's the case, then I won't disturb my fellow Taoist. He remained non-committal and said, if you have time in the future, can you come and visit your Taoist friends? Please do as you please, Taoist friend. I have been here all along. Zhao Jing did not refuse. He didn't know many people even when he was teaching. If someone is willing to come as a guest, it's not a big deal. Go back to your own cabin. After dinner. Zhao Jing waved his hand. A brush appeared in my hand. The daily diary writing session should not be missed. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Diary, my heart is in turmoil all day long. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Diary, my heart is in turmoil all day long. I have nothing to do today, fishing during the fishing trip. I met a Taoist friend. It's unbelievable that the entire sect has actually started to be locked down and shut down. Master Tong Tian, it seems that he realized something and made this decision. In the midst of chaos, small trends can be changed, but big trends are irreversible. Jiejiao has long been deeply trapped in the calamity. Even if closed down, it is impossible to escape the god of sealing in quantity calamity. Zhao Jing waved his hair. More like in hydrology. After all, he really doesn't know what to write. We can only continue to follow the previous train of thought and make some evaluations of the current situation faced by Jiejiao in our diary. In this way, it can also be considered for himself, to sort out his thoughts. When the Fengshen Liangjie truly begins, it is convenient to do things with clear thinking. The current difficulties in intercepting teachings cannot be solved overnight. Fengshen is activated, and both the moral heavenly sovereign and the primordial heavenly sovereign will jointly target the truncation movement. The two saints of the West are also those who are willing to resort to any means for the sake of the West, and there are many ways to fall into the trap and take action. Even if the immortal sword formation can determine the four saints, there is still a Taoist ancestor who has settled in the clouds. From this perspective, unless 10 or 8 saints appear again, there is absolutely no possibility of a comeback in Jiejiao. Zhao Jing calculated like this. I suddenly felt that the situation faced by Jiejiao was extremely difficult. Neither the sages nor the Taoist ancestors can sit idly by and continue the development of the truncation church. Difficult. Difficult. Zhao Jing sighed helplessly. If I become a saint myself, it's probably the limit to be able to save 3 knights. It's almost impossible to hold on to others anymore. The water in the wilderness is too deep. Zhao Jing couldn't help but sigh. Writing is writing. He couldn't help but write incorrectly. If we say that currently, the most likely person to become a saint is the one who intercepts the teachings, undoubtedly, he is a Taoist from Duobao. Duobao now has reached the late stage of cultivation as a quasi-saint. He has slain 3 corpses and is only 1 line away from becoming a saint. However, his involvement in the game is too diverse, refining tools, formations, swordsmanship. The path of 100 schools of thought is reflected in him alone. It is already impossible to spin off 3,000 great roads, sparse return on the same path. If he can find the most suitable path for himself among these paths, then the same thing may take him further. Zhao Jing couldn't help but be moved. There is a sense of generosity in commenting on the heroes of the world. Done. Zhao Jing stopped writing. A warning sound rang in his mind. Diary completed, you receive a reward. The Art of 100 Schools of Thought, the Art of 100 Schools of Thought. A unique technique that can simulate the 100 schools of thought and further integrate and connect one's various abilities. Those who specialize in one path can use this technique to attract stones from other mountains and attack jade, deepening their understanding of their own path. 100 schools of thought contend. Zhao Jing suddenly became interested. It's an extremely powerful spell. For those who have learned a lot and have multiple paths running parallel. This is indeed a divine skill. Even those who specialize in one field can have an impact. Think of it here. Zhao Jing couldn't help but think of his diary. He just commented in his diary that Duobao has too much miscellaneous knowledge. The system rewarded such a spell. I think it's not just a coincidence. For the first time, I wrote in my diary that I need to enhance my strength and seek self-protection. The system gave me a path to becoming a saint. This time, I wrote that Duobao has practiced too many paths, and I also rewarded this technique of 100 schools of thought. It seems that the diary I wrote is related to my own rewards. Zhao Jing's heart suddenly became clear. Fortunately, he didn't casually handle the diary. But it's about truthfully writing down everything in one's heart without any omissions. In the future, you can try to give more comments on the heroes of the world. Zhao Jing made up his mind. The harvest this time is still very powerful. As for now, the sky has become dim. It's time to go to bed. While Zhao Jing was sleeping. Zixiao Palace. The expression on Tong Tian's face was somewhat uplifted. It was because he realized that the divine book in his hand could actually open the second page. It seems that the time has come. I can see new content now. Turn to the second page immediately. What caught his eye was a sentence that immediately made his expression complex. In the midst of chaos, small trends can be changed, but big trends are irreversible. Jiejiao has long been deeply trapped in the calamity. Even if closed down, it is impossible to escape the god of sealing in quantity calamity. Seeing this sentence, Tong Tian sighed helplessly. Is it? Do I really feel powerless after teaching? A pale expression appeared on the sky. But soon. It has become firm again. This book can be used as a reference. Whether it will ultimately lead to the prosperity of the intercepted church or not. Still, it depends on our own wishes. He breathed a long sigh of relief. I just had a somewhat low expression. At this moment, surprisingly, he regained his composure. I was unexpectedly disturbed by this book's 2 short sentences. After all, Tong Tian is a saint's nature. Quickly, I discovered my own problem. He is a sage of the heavenly way. Surprisingly, 2 words disturbed my mood. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. 100 Schools of Thought Strive, Shocking to the Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. 100 Schools of Thought Strive, Shocking to the Sky. Even though this book states that minor trends can be changed, major trends are irreversible. He must also firmly believe without doubt. The head of the Tongtian sect had a cold expression and a furrowed brow. This strange book is actually one of the escapes of the heavenly way, and I believe nothing can be absolute. Knowing that the situation of intercepting the teachings is urgent, it is inevitable that leaving all the disciples on Jiejiao Island cannot avoid the calamity. We still need to make a difference. In short, you cannot sit idly by. After some contemplation, Master Tongtian gradually became clear. He continued to look. The current difficulties in intercepting teachings cannot be solved overnight. From this perspective, unless there are 10 or 8 more saints, there is absolutely no possibility of a comeback in Jiejiao. The holy heart of the heavenly master, who had just stabilized, trembled once again. There is no possibility of a comeback. These words are like poisonous needles, deeply piercing the sky. At present, every word and sentence in this book indicates that intercepting teaching is unstoppable. Looking up at the sky and sighing, feeling helpless and desolate. But with a sudden turn of attention, I couldn't help but feel excited as I stared at the words sage in the book. Sage. Is it possible that this is the solution provided by Qishu? With a clear mind, the vast and majestic aura erupted. That's right. This is exactly the tip. As long as we cultivate saints according to the book, we can overcome this calamity. Among the current teaching methods, the one with the best talent is the personally transmitted for disciples. In addition, there are Zhao Gongming and San Xiao. Including them, there are exactly 8. With these 8 saints, this calamity can be completely reversed, and only by intercepting teachings can we seize this glimmer of vitality. The head of the Tongtian sect trembled in his heart for a long time. Just the book is written simply. Saints are determined by heaven, there are only 6 in the wilderness. How can one become a saint without the opportunity to become a saint, without the Hongmeng purple qi? Master Tong Tian once again fell into contemplation. So, we must go against the sky. Tong Tian once again fell into a wave of sorrow. The faint purple aura of the red cloud ancestor has disappeared without a trace. But even if found, only one saint can be cultivated. One person, far from enough. It must be 8 or 10. This the head of the Tongtian sect frowned tightly. This is almost impossible to complete. Every road is a dead end. The sky was filled with grief and sorrow. Is it possible that this interception is destined to fall into a dead end? Tong Tian looked up at Zhao Tian, and his solemn and majestic face, full of courage and courage, had complex emotions. Go against the sky. Change the course of destiny. Once angered by the heavenly way, a heavenly way thunderstorm will befall. He looked down at Zhao with a pair of black eyebrows, and a hint of anger rose in his heart. This day, the Tao has opened up this great calamity, and even the 2 Western sages, including their 2 elder brothers, have calculated to cut off their teachings. If we no longer fight against the heavens and act against them, we will only be deeply trapped in this calamity. The broad figure stood in the 9th sky, dressed in a green robe, hunting. Cut off a glimmer of vitality. I will go against the sky if I have the power to conquer it. Making this decision all day long, my heart suddenly brightened up. He continued to look at the content of the book. If we say that currently, the most likely person to become a saint is the one who intercepts the teachings, there is no doubt that he is a Taoist from Duobao. However, he dabbled in complexity. The main road is 3,000, and the sparse return leads the same way. If he can find the most suitable path for himself among these paths, then perhaps the same thing can go further. Upon seeing this, Master Tong Tian was also deeply touched. It seems that his previous analysis was correct. Duobao does have the possibility of becoming a saint. As mentioned in the book, Taoist Duobao had too much knowledge to specialize in one subject. If one's mind is versatile, there will inevitably be no breakthrough. But now, it is impossible for Duobao to give up one by one and separate from it. The holy heart of Tong Tian also follows the ups and downs of the book's content. While pondering through the heavens, suddenly a divine light flashed through this strange book. This divine light injects into the heavenly consciousness. At that time, the endless runes were densely packed and overwhelming like a tide. Various sounds come to mind. Among them are the voices of the elderly, constantly reciting the book of songs and rituals. There is a passionate voice, surpassing the origin of all things in heaven and earth. Heaven follows the Tao, and the Tao follows nature. Eliminate the benefit of fate. Love and benefit each other. Based on the law is not noble. Various sounds, words of encouragement, warmth like a spring, sincere words, sadness or sighs. Immediately after, the leader of the Tongtian sect felt like he was outside the chaotic sky. Changes in all things emerge before our eyes. The stars of all ages are constantly evolving, yet they are both mysterious and mysterious. Surrounded by countless stars, one can see through the sky that all things are unified. All skills and methods converge in one. All the voices gathered together, buzzing in Tongtian's mind. The chaotic sky in front of me seemed to radiate life from an endless black hole, and the day exploded. Finally, it turns into a soft white light, and everything returns to nature. Out of this chaotic sky, a star of life evolution has emerged. The head of the Tong Tian sect was filled with fear. How can this cultivation revive life and give birth to a new star? And it has the power to destroy the wilderness and seize the power beyond chaos. Tong Tian comprehends that this is the technique taught in this extraordinary book. His holy heart was once again struck, unable to calm down for a long time. With a rapid understanding of the martial arts in his mind, Tong Tian's heart moved and he unconsciously recited, 100 schools of thought contend. This is the art of 100 schools of thought contending. Is it just for me to pick up some Duobao? The leader of the Tongtian sect finally calmed down. He just read this book about the evaluation of Duobao, and to his surprise, it taught him the art of 100 schools of thought and the unity of all things. This is the glimmer of vitality for intercepting teachings. The sky is filled with great joy. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Duobao Breakthrough, Quasi Holy Peak. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Duobao Breakthrough, Quasi Holy Peak. As the senior brother of the Jiejiao sect, Duobao Taoist is currently in the later stage of cultivation as a quasi-saint. If we can help him further improve his cultivation, integrate and master a single path, that will be of great help to the trend of intercepting teaching in the context of quantity calamity. Tong Tian is to quickly go to the dojo where Duobao is located. Duobao immediately appeared to greet and respectfully said, "Master." Tong Tian looked at Taoist Duobao with his gaze, nodded slightly, and then asked, "Duobao, have you gained any cultivation experience recently?" Taoist Duobao has a solemn expression on his face. "Report to Master, both the formation and swordsmanship have been enhanced, and we are currently refining our weapons. Although they have all improved. Duobao furrowed his brows slightly, feeling that his strength was being exerted in many places and that his cultivation had not improved. Upon seeing the situation, Tong Tian continued with what Duobao had said. "Duobao, you have always been involved in various fields and have cultivated the path of 100 schools of thought. If you cannot master a certain subject, it will become a great obstacle to your personal cultivation. Do you know?" Duobao looked up with a somewhat confused expression. "You are too pursuing fulfillment. The cultivation heart is not specialized." Duobao immediately respectfully said, "Master, what you said is very true. I am willing to listen to teachings." Seeing Duobao with an upward heart and humbly accepting it, I feel a bit relieved. Today, as a teacher, I will pass on a skill to you. Remember to practice it seriously and comprehend the mystery from it. There must be a chance to become a saint. Taoist Duobao was horrified in his heart. Becoming a saint? Is Master teasing you? Or is it just a joke? The opportunity to become a saint in the wilderness has long been predetermined. Originally, there were 7 strands of Hongmeng purple qi and 7 paths of chance. Helplessly, the trace of Hongjun ancestors' misty purple aura cannot be found. The last chance of becoming a saint is to fall into the wilderness. Now, the master claims that he has a chance to become a saint. Taoist Duobao was deeply shocked. Could it be that master has found that strand of Hongmeng purple qi? He looked at the serious head of the Tongtian sect and respectfully said, "Master, are you telling the truth?" Tong Tian nodded slowly. "Did you find the strand of Hongmeng purple qi that fell into the wilderness?" asked the Taoist Duobao. Tong Tian shook his head and said, "As long as you learn this skill, you will have a chance to become a saint. No need for Hongmeng purple qi." Duobao's heart was greatly shaken. What kind of cultivation method is it that can obtain the opportunity to become a saint without the need for Hongmeng purple qi? And master, how could he just pass on the martial arts to him like this? At that time, Duobao had greater respect for the leader of the Tongtian sect. Master values him so much, he must not disappoint his high expectations. And after seeing the power of the cultivation technique, Tong Tian is certain that Duobao will become a saint once cultivated. The thought of cultivating a saint after the cutoff day brings immense relief to Tong Tian. At that time, Jiejiao will surely have a prosperous fortune. Immediately, Tong Tian brushed his sleeve, clasped his fingers together, and nodded towards the center of Duobao's eyebrows. A golden ray of light followed those two fingers and fell into Duobao's eyebrows. In the sea of multiple treasures, I suddenly felt a thunderous explosion. Countless complex runes rushed towards him, filling his entire sea of knowledge and causing a thunderous explosion in his mind. This cultivation method is tailored specifically for Duobao, so that he doesn't have to abandon the path of 100 schools of thought. Unify all things. As soon as Taoist Duobao learned this technique, he found it very smooth. He immediately sat cross-legged and drove up in a cloud of good fortune. As everything in the brain evolves, various sounds sound. Duobao Taoist seems to have entered an uninhabited realm. Listening to the voices of 100 schools of thought, passionate voices, sorrowful voices, inspirational voices, countless dense runes will surround it. 36 divine lights scattered from around Duobao, gentle yet majestic. He returned to unity and gained some understanding. Suddenly opening his eyes, his gaze fixed. Immediately after, his mouth flowed like a river, and countless golden runes poured in like a tide. The mysterious sounds scattered from the dojo, gradually spreading throughout the entire Golden Ao Island. This sound is like a bell, and the listener's mind is calm, dispelling all distractions. And the Duobao Taoist was instantly shrouded in golden light, and his divine form was completely different from before. With Duobao constantly reciting runes, his quasi-saint's later cultivation also loosened. Boom! In a moment, the vast quasi-holy cultivation burst out. The immortal aura from thousands of miles away on Jinao Island is surging wildly, forming vortices that are fully absorbed by Duobao. And the 9 heavens also changed color due to this great movement and stillness. Dark clouds rise and thunder changes. A series of strong winds rose in all directions. But Duobao was surrounded by soft golden light, constantly reciting in his mouth, his mind stable, and not moved by it. Transform one's own path into runes and continuously output them. Transformed into a series of mindfulness, all return to unity. In the moment of enlightenment, the cultivation of the quasi-saint has already broken through in the later stage. As the momentum climbed, Duobao had reached the peak of the quasi-holy realm. Bang! Duobao Taoist made a breakthrough at once, and the golden light around his body gradually dissipated. He looked at the leader of the Tongtian sect again and kowtowed, "Thank you very much, master." Duobao was deeply moved in his heart. He just comprehended this cultivation technique and helped him break through to the peak of quasi-saint. According to Duobao's calculations, it would take another 5 million years of cultivation to make any progress. Now, it has shortened the time by a full 5 million years. Duobao's heart was filled with excitement. Meanwhile, Tong Tian on the side was completely shocked by Duobao's recent movements. Good guy. As soon as this technique was taught, it directly broke through to its peak. When it comes to talent, in the wilderness, Sanxiao should be the top. But this cultivation speed is not as fast. Looking up at Duobao, who was already at his peak, the expression on his face was somewhat uncontrollable. Or rather, this cultivation technique was originally tailored for Duobao. So, as soon as you teach, you can make a breakthrough. Immersed in deep thought throughout the day. This strange book is truly one of the escapes of the heavenly way. To this end, Tong Tian is already deeply convinced. Duobao on the side greatly benefited, and he was even more in awe of Tong Tian. Master, I have never seen this technique before. Could it be that Master has just created it recently? Master Tong Tian. You don't need the Hongmeng purple chi to obtain the opportunity to become a saint through this cultivation method. This vast wilderness, even the heavenly way, may not have this cultivation method. Master, I will definitely live up to my expectations. Duobao Taoist once again kowtowed to Tong Tian. Master Tong Tian took a deep breath and could only acquiesce when he saw the excited Duobao Taoist. After all, this strange book cannot be disclosed to anyone. If the heavenly Tao finds out, the consequences would be unimaginable. You continue to comprehend and practice diligently. Duobao's gaze was firm as he arched his hand at Tong Tian and said, "Yes, master." After Tong Tian left, Duobao still couldn't calm down. At this moment, the disciples of other mountain dojo on Jijiao Island were also shocked by Duobao's sudden breakthrough. How could senior brother Duobao break through to the peak? Looking at the entire wilderness, this cultivation speed is probably unmatched by no one. So, the disciples rushed to Duobao Daochang one after another. Jin Ling and Gue Ling rushed ahead without any reason, envious. Senior brother, congratulations. Senior brother, congratulations on your promotion to the peak of the Quasi Saint. In the future, I hope senior brother can provide more guidance. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Licking your face. Sorry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors.